Right, hello, this is a branch vlog for 0.2.2.0, focusing on the migration from like a hybrid, unintentionally hybrid data table struct creature to data assets. I'll show you where I've got with it. I've gone out of my way to make sure there's no scope creep in the branch, or at least minimal amount, because as you can imagine, items can branch out into so much more stuff. And then, if it's an item, then it branches out into guns, which is fine, but then guns can branch out into ammo, which is not fine, and then ammo can branch into so on and so forth. So that's why it's a bit more condensed. So we start with the top one. Migrate items from data tables to blueprints and blueprints to data assets. I did actually keep the blueprints to a degree, but let me show you what I've done. So on the left, if I go to items, you will see there's no thing called data assets. And for each one of the current items, not all the items I've drawn little pictures for, but all the current ones in the game's current form I've replicated. These are just placeholders because again I've created them, but they're placeholders because you wouldn't just have like a universal quest book, would you? I need like instance differences. A bit like that. They're kind of all the same, aren't they? But they've got slightly different instance variances. Or like all these things, all these food things recover stamina, for example. They're like instances of like a wider stamina thing. But obviously a bit different with like books and diaries and stuff. So that's why we've got placeholders for quest. But if we start at the top, before you make the assets, you need to create a primary data asset. This is very much like a data table. You look on the left. Also, kind of how I harness like a struct for like save load in the end at one point. Like a read only, like a read and then write at save and then read at load. So it's a monstrosity, but and I won't talk about the structs too much. But that's that. If we get the data table up, we go to structure, go to data, item data, and let's side by side it. Well, low tech side by side, not using the tabs, the Windows key, because I didn't even do it with that this time. But you see, look, name, item type, description, so on and so forth, just like that, all the way through. I prefer to do, I thought about this, and I prefer to do a universal primary data asset. For example, like non-weapon items, these will just not be populated, or they'll just be like empty or zero. Do you know? Depending if it's a float, I think it comes up as like a zero. Um, there you go on the right. So whatever the empty is the empty. I know with like category there isn't an empty, but an item will always have some form of category, as you can see, like that. So yeah, that's what it was. This was the original thing I made, where you can see like pick the one we've got like the service pistol, it's like the handgun. Got all the information popped in there. We cut that out. Let's go to the data asset. Bearing in mind we've already done like that's essentially a table thing I was showing you. This is like the table, nothing else. If we go to weapon, service pistol, that's all the stuff that would have been populated in that row. But it's almost like, I know it's not a column, but it's almost visually it looks like a column of data rather than a row of data. It's like an object of data, I guess, rather than a row in a column table like relational data. Not relational database, sorry, it's not, is it? It's more like Excel. The table is more like Excel because there's no relational stuff going on there. I'm not doing like a data table to data table with primary keys, but yes, they're more like objects now. So you can see I've set it all up, done this for each one of them. You can do some pretty nifty stuff. Normally if you like selected a bunch, let's say we've got all the quest stuff, right? and you pressed enter now, it would load up like, is that 8? Is that 9? 9? 9, maybe 9, 10. You go like that, it would just pop up like 9 variations, 9 different tabs. It dumps them into like one mega tab, very much like I was going to say the old school way, but the way I do it normally is I go right click asset actions, edit in a property matrix, to do it, work on like en masse, but by default it does it like en masse this way, which is fine because then if I do like select, or let's change something that won't break anything. Let's just put quest item, enter, save it, and then we go like that one. Let me pick that one. You see quest item, you see quest item. So it's pretty cool. The main purpose for it was, it's mostly for when it seems games have thousands of items, but it never hurts to be like with the times, does it? So I've done this migration now before things get too unwieldy. So the way I used to have it was I had that data table or a struct. The struct would hold like the default beginning data, like the read-only data, and that's what the data table did as well. As you can imagine, it's quite messy by the way I'm describing it because it's two of the first few things I did. And let's say you had weapon, you went to this, and you would have a little variable saying like item info, and that would be like item info struct, and you click that, and if you go to like class initial values, it would pop here, and then all the initial values would pop all the way down here. But instead of them popping all the way down here for like this service weapon, they now populate, as you're gonna guess, all the way in here. So rather than having to rely on, it's almost like going one step back. Rather than having to rely on an instance of the item struct slash data tables information on this blueprint, which is a child of the master equipment blueprint, which is a child of the master item blueprint, I'm instead just kind of going one step back and going straight into the data asset, which goes straight into the primary data asset, which itself is a variable added into the master item. So rather than having to have the information particularly in this place, this far end child, the information we need, the logic of it, the structure of it is held as far back as possible to the ultimate ancestor of blueprint master item. And this is just an instance of itself. So if we just pick this for example, master item, so service weapon is a child of the master equipment, and master equipment is a child of the master item. And then we open up master item and the data assets there, but because it's instance editable, if we had 15 guns, if we had 15 different pistols, they would all have their own separate 15 instances. And with each one of these instances, the only reason why I have instances now is for the amount of weapons. Because if I've got 15 different weapons or data assets that we're looking at here, I'd want to create 15 different blueprints, one for each one of those weapons. Each one would be instance editable, going through the equipment logic, so it essentially just jumps into slots. And then yeah, the item logic. If I just close all these to the right, and that's what's happening. So every item, when you go to create it, let's get another item, equipment, bulletproof vest. You'll see there we go. I would pick the one where I've put extra stuff in it. But bulletproof vest, the initial values are here on here. I've put armor values on there, which I just me did just do it off the cuff, and I picked the one thing that's got extra stuff on it. I will add in this information into this parent data asset and have it just like a mega one. I'd rather have 50 different variables on this one asset and it cherry picks what it needs, rather than having primary data asset equipment, primary data asset weapon, and then there's the risk of overlap, and like, which data asset is it passing through on this instance, or is it, it's not passing through the equipment variant, or it's passing through the wrong variant. So just universal data asset. But let's pick something that isn't that one. Let's pick the backpack. So the backpack doesn't have any extra functionality on it. It's just almost like a shell to hold this. So that's that. I'm conscious I've probably gone over several tasks, but that's the migration of it. The tidying blueprints under the same structure. Yeah, assets. You go to assets, you go to items, and then we've got interact collect, interact no collect, materials, which is not on materials to collect materials on the items. It's different. It shouldn't really be there anymore. And then no interact. So interact no collect is like the beds, where you would you could do light on and off, or you can tidy untidy. Close, 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 close. Let's close it all up. Tidy up a bit. And then interact collect is stuff like like ammo, things like that, and like the gun, stuff like that, and and so on and so forth. And then, as you can imagine, no interact is just stuff. So box, for example, like barbells, stuff like that. I think I did quite well, making it look like it's not rounded. Kind of looks like hexagon, doesn't it? Hexagonal or something, but it looks better than just looking flat. So yeah, that's the structure I've got for the assets. Items in the assets bit, but items in the blueprints bit had these structures, but I was yet to do a drag move logic, simply because I didn't want to break everything. And the structs, this is where it's good to get rid of the structs, because they're a bit hit and miss. You add a new variable into the struct, like I've just talked about adding in a new variable into this, I'm almost certain it defaults it to like this, like boom, it just wipes it again. So then it'll wipe it there, and it wipes it down the chain for all the instances of it. So I think I wiped all my items, so all the equipment and all the items you see here, not equipment, not yeah, wiped them, and I had to type these in manually at least 3 separate times. So that's a non-issue now. And now, yeah, just follows the same structure. Migrate fully from ItemInfo Struct to data assets. Yes, the first set of tutorial videos I watched over a year ago talked about an inventory thing, and it uses the logic of an item struct. This is where you've probably gathered I created this like item struct data table hybrid, and it passes this item struct as item info. This one's like obviously slots, but if I go to let's go deeper, this would have been like item info, but it's not there anymore. That was a separate variable. So I've been porting over the variables. In this case, I'm not creating a variable, I'm just I'm stripping from the class, getting a class default, the data asset. So whatever that little pink thing, whichever one of these is hooked to it, get the weight, add the weight, and that sort of logic. So let's see. Here we go. That would have been item info, and then drag it out can be stacked. But now can be stacked is on the data asset because it is. you know, the primary data asset thing. So it's just repointing it to that, and then there's occasions where if it needs to create a blueprint, or not blueprint, like a widget, oh, I'll try and wing it, I'll try and find it first time. So slot, you right click on the inventory slot. So on slot clicked, right, so it has to be right click. So you right clicked on an inventory slot, looks at the action menu, and the action menu used to get its info from the item info, again, as you can imagine, but now it's an instance editable. I do need to look at this, it doesn't work perfect yet, but it's kind of working. I get the current index, I get the inventory, get info at index, and then I added the data asset in, I stripped the item info, and then it's just the same, it's the same thing, it's just restructuring it to go to data assets. So what that looks like is if I play it, now it tells me more stuff's broken. It sometimes doesn't tell you everything's broken all at once. Oh, it's properly broken, it's not even showing it now. Oh, should we try and fix it on the fly? The problem is we want the inventory widget. Why is it not showing anything? I'm not going to fix it on the fly because it'll be chaos. It worked. It worked the last time I did it. It worked on my laptop. It worked on my PC logic. It was fine. It's fine before I committed it and started this video. But yeah, when you right click it, an action thing pops up. This. And these pop up now. The only thing that's not popping up is throwaway, and I just need to figure out why throwaway is not throwing up. Why throwing away is not showing up. But now the slots are causing drama as well. Not an issue. Like I said, it was migrating the assets and the ItemInfo Struct process to data asset. There will be teething problems. There will be things where, because it needs to be passed through, that maybe it's just not getting passed through at a particular point, and it is at others. Not the end of the world. I can fix it. It's just it's more of a bug now rather than the branch's main purpose. So yeah, that's why I sort of try to be rigid to the branch task at hand. But yeah, so it's that sort of transference, and then upgrade items to parent blueprint. Yeah, I didn't do it to true parent blueprint. The functions I did. So let's highlight them both. The functions I did. If I show you what I've done, this is where it works as well. Well, I won't be able to show you it works. You have to trust me, but it did work when I ran it. Let's go to food, right? All these are stamina. Beef burger uses the beef burger consumable, has no extra functionality on itself. It just what you recover and all that stuff comes from whatever this information is. But let's go to its parent, which is hamburger, which really its parent should just be. I will change all the parents to stamina small. That's one of the things I do need to do. But again, does nothing. Just points to stamina small, which all the food items need to point to stamina small. So we've got stamina small. Stamina small used to have this functionality. If I find it for you now, let's go to stamina on the left. So stamina small, event on used, now says stamina value change, and this function is held in the master. So top right, this parent is held in its parent, and the stamina value change is this. This used to be copied and pasted, dumped right there, and then hamburger and beef burger all just took advantage of stamina small's function. Master item had no function on itself. Now I've gone one step further back and I put the functions on the master item instead of one step in, which is like at like the first stage item, so whether it's stamina, health, blah blah blah, on there. So now master item holds each one of the value increases, so like the current value increases, so recovering your stamina, or like let's say recovering your health. Let's pick stamina actually. Recovering your stamina. The regeneration rate increases of the like injection items, so the stamina regen, and the stamina max increase, which is like the pills. These are all now held here. They all point to the data asset. The data asset again is instance editable, so whatever item has it. So master item does that, and you'll see stamina small uses this, and you might be thinking like, well, how does it know what freaking value to give it, Nick? Because it's instance editable, it's none here, so it's passing nothing through. But stamina small, again, stamina small is this. So if we just do a little find stamina small, passes through 20, so it recovers 20 stamina. And then if we go further back to what did we have? We had the food. Let's pick the hamburger, for example. It's like, oh, okay, so isn't it just going to pass stamina small? And it's like, no, because it's instance editable. So it's an instance of stamina small, and hamburger will pass through 35. So it's truly like dynamic and truly instance editable with the stamina recover, stamina regenerate, stamina max extension, same for infection stress, all these others that we've already talked about. So stamina all works off this. I do need to make that beef burger point to stamina small, like all the other staminas, all the other food, I should say. Medicine again, so you start with like health small. That goes, as you can imagine, to the parent, master parent item. Health recovery gets the value from again the data asset, and then health medium does nothing different because it's just a child of health small, but it passes through the medium health value of 50 recovery. And it's just like that. So that's the change. Done that, done that, done that, done that. Weapons and equipment are a little different. They don't really do anything here. It's all in this bit. This tells you if it's equipment and what category it is, the item class, and then when it goes to head. So when I do right click equipped, it goes to the head slot. If I show you it here, the head slot, and I've equipped a handgun, which won't work because the stuff seems to be broken. But yeah, broken. But that's how each one of these slots goes into its individual things with all these different equipments. You see, like that. So the equipment doesn't do anything special except from that first one I showed you. And what are the chances with the bulletproof vest? That will need to be repatriated to. This is where like, should it be master item or should it be master equipment? I will repatriate it to master equipment because it's an offshoot of an item. I could put it on master item, but then you ask the question, well, what's the point of master equipment at all? And if it's just, it's just a gate, like a gatekeeping thing, I just lifts the gate up to go to item, which makes me think maybe I should make everything go back to item, but for the time being, equipment and weapons will all funnel through master equipment, which itself is a child of item, but does not matter because it will have its own functionality for weapons and equipment. So that's that. Yeah, that's it. I can't really run through it because literally it's broken. Um, I really want to investigate it. Let's have one quick look. Give me 3 minutes. Let's do it on the thing. I was going to say do it on the call. If I can't do it in 3 minutes, I'll just close it. So the slots aren't popping up, are they? When we run it, the slots are missing. Okay. So on event create, slots, slot index goes to the protagonist. Is it this bit? So for the slot index, get the data asset for each item. For that item, oh yeah, so when you drag it or when you collect it, it goes into that slot. Imagine we're talking about that specific slot that's dropped into. Get the data asset, goes to there, and the detail widget now use the data asset rather than item info. That used to be set item info for the detail thing, but that's not the problem. It's not the detail widget because that's when you hover over it. It's that the slots are not even being created. So it might not be the slot to blame. If it might be the widget which holds the slots here, you can see somewhere. So there's the action menu. I can't see the widgets. Maybe they're not. Maybe they don't pop up there. On create, right? On create, on construct. Oh, the combo box string. This wasn't, well, this was done by me a year and a half ago. I haven't actually looked at that. I haven't actually used that sort of logic before. But it's just adding in an option, and I'm guessing the option is, I don't even know what that could be, to be honest, not just yet. It's not the sort, it's not the sort, it's not that. Onslaught clicked, is it? And let's go further back, because the thing that creates the widget, how the widget's working, it's got an inventory off the back of it. Could it be the inventory is being funny? Oh, I thought I'd be able to click in it, just load it up for me. Let me go track it down. And blueprints, inventory. Is it this stage? Nothing's flagging up as failing. It's not use item. Could be event begin play, but I don't think event begin play of this one. It might be on the protagonist because the inventory loads up on the protagonist. Or actually, no, I think I've remembered. Main widget errored, didn't it? Main widget holds all the widgets. It's main widget. It's not being populated because it's like that. You see what I was doing? I started at the child and I just started at the slot and then the widget and then the inventory which holds the information to the widget and I guess the slots. And then I was going to look at the main character blueprint which holds an instance of the inventory. But no, it's this, the main widget, which holds the instances of, like, I guess you'd say all the widgets. So yes, I deleted info because it doesn't use it anymore. So I need to, on the drag slot, I should be able to do data asset. There we go, data asset. And then I can do can be stacked. And it's doing category as well, isn't it? Category. Because you remember the data asset is just that thing we just replicated. If you hold control and drag left click, you can do this, which saves so much pain and suffering when you've got multiple things all hooked up. Nothing else is coming from that. Kill it. Right, so that goes there. Bit messy. This is old stuff as well. Has that fixed everything? Yeah, still got it. Still got it. F2 to take lighting off. Needles, 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 needles. Collect lots of stuff. Da, 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 da. Right. Right click, equip. Right click, equip. You might be wondering why everything's like garishly big. It's just because I went through a restructuring. Right click, equipped. There we go. Now you got your llama thing popped up. So it's only giving us a little bit. Equipped, equipped, equipped. Pager, equipped. There we go. We got like this. Got like that. Right. Let's try and use that stamina up. So Stam Kit Small recovers 20, doesn't it? And I think Cheeseburger maybe recovers a bit more, and that's going to speed up recovery. So let's burn up all his stamina. Let's, let's run. Burn it all up. Let's do the injection.
You
Yeah,
healed, boy.
yeah, the injections are working. So let's burn it all up.
You
Yeah,
healed,
you
boy.
see the instance works. The instance thing we talked about works because that nearly recovered everything. But if we do that,
You
recovers it in
healed,
parts.
boy.
Sorted. So we've actually fixed that bug. Yeah, that literally the error has been fixed. Job done on the call, on the video. Um, and proof of concept that logic works where I pushed it, all the functions back to one step to its parent, and then it just pulls from the parent. That's sorted as well. There's a couple of things I need to do off the back of this video, which will be get all the food pointing to stamina small. You might be thinking, why, Nick, have you done stamina small and not stamina large? I had to pick some stamina variant to hold that stamina value change function, and I just picked that one. Start at small. I could have started at medium. I could have started at any. I could have created a separate blueprint just called stamina item, and everything funnels through stamina item, and then health item, and everything all health funnels through health. It's simply I had to pick some deviation. Imagine like a family tree, and as you branch off from that parent, that master item, I had to branch off to a stamina child and a health child, infection child, stress child for each of them to have their own separate. It's almost like they don't branch off, you see. It's almost like they're a direct straight down line after. Um, yeah, that's it. That's the reason. Hopefully you like this. Next, persistent. Finished a little bit early. It's the 22nd of December. I've got bugs to fix. I've got a couple of things to tweak, but the main mega focus and me learning all about this stuff has been done. Mission complete. The save and load I will look at when I'm doing the persistent levels, NPCs and enemies, because I believe that's still funneling data structures, and I need to understand, do I, not data structures, structs, and I need to understand, why am I funneling those structs now? Can I just remove that functionality, seeing as it's like a write once, read once, write once, read once, enter and exit of the game or level. So I'll investigate that while I'm looking at these two. These will be fun. Action loops. I'm going to fix the shooting thing to work properly again, like it did do. Just get a bit of fun there, shooting enemies, stuff. Like, work on tweaks. Like, do I need to make them move a little bit slower, a bit more erratic? Do I need to change the AI a bit? Do I need to make the bullets more impactful? Like secondary animation effects. I don't know, stuff like that. I won't be drawing all the different sprites yet for all the different enemy damages and final forms and stuff, but looking at everything but more sprite creation for the loop. Crafting, um, yeah, just I've only kind of got food crafting. I've played around with weapon crafting. I can do it. It's all the same. It's just crafting things like this. You see, um, recipe. There you go. So the recipe for a cheeseburger is one bread cake, one cheesy single, and one beef burger, and then you got all that. Boom, you can craft it, make it. So it's just the same for all items. So just play around with the crafting. The structs won't get wiped, so then I don't need to worry about it forgetting all these freaking recipes again and again and for a third time. Missions, I've got the bones of missions. You can kill enemies, they'll die. It logs it. The questing does work to a degree. Something I worked on like another tutorial series like a year and a bit ago, or maybe like just under a year ago. So just really fleshing out those three game loops for a bit of fun. And then jump into Act 1, and Act 1 is good stuff. So we're talking all the new levels, the Act 1 variants of all the prologue levels. That'll be a biggie. finally get the lighting sorted to work with 3D uh, static meshes, because it kind of works with all the 2D stuff, but just doesn't work in its current form with 3D static meshes. And then, oh, that's the level creation, sorry. So embarking on Act 1 will be me prepping it all, coming up with ideas, doing a bit of drawing, maybe, like, yeah, drawing, things like that, rereading like the manuscript, like the story and everything. That's the level creation one. Thank you for your time. You should expect the next video probably the second week of January, because I'm starting a new job on the 6th of January and I cannot freaking wait. Bit more money, whole new fresh start needed as well. Hopefully, like, just get done right this time. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you around.